Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show you a few advanced tools that exist in most of the slicers. I'm going to use Bambu Studio, but you can find it in Prusa Slicer or FlashForge Studio as well. So the first one is, if you remember, let's say you have an object like this. I showed you some cylindrical object or anything, right? Like that. And you bring it in and you put it on the bed. And now let's say you want to put some text here on the back of the part, correct? So how would you do that without doing it in the CAD software? So if you pick it, you can use this text shape. Now look, when you click on the text shape, it is going to allow you to type something, correct? So that's the input text. So let's say I say demo. And now that demo, look, if this option surface is active, it is going to put it on the surface. If it's not active, right, it is just going to make it like a flat on a vertical wall or something like that. So if you want it to adapt to the surface, like the wrap command in SolidWorks, you need to take this option, correct? And now you have that, right? It is attached to the surface and you can change the thickness of it. You can change the size of it, right? So let's say I want a little bit bigger and I want it a little bit thicker, right? So I can change all of that and everything. Good. And I make the, basically the text, correct? And now, of course, if I slice it, that part is going to be printed for you. Good. Now you might say, how can I make it cut extrude into the part? Right? So I don't want to extrude it to stick out. I want to cut it into the part. Can I do that here? Because if you looked at this option here, it does not have anything, so you can cut it into the part. You might say, what about this embedded depth? Here, I have added another one for you, and I added embedded depth, and you see, that's the part that goes inside, but the one outside still there. So this extra part that you see here, darker red, that's how much the leather goes inside the part and embedded into the part, not being cut out of the part. So that is not going to do. So is there a way for me to cut extrude that? The answer is yes. Now how? Look, when you make this text here, this text is going to add another object for you, right? Which is this text shape. Now what you can do is you right click here and then say what? Change type. And when you go there, instead of a part, you can make it what? A support blocker, support enforcer, modifier, or in this case, what? A negative part. So make it a negative part. Now this is going to be a hollow object. Now to cut it, you have to move it inside the part. So you're going to grab this displacement item and then what? You're going to push it into the part, right? So look here, you can move it a little bit inside, and then with this one also a little bit inside. Just make sure some portion of it is remaining. It's always a good idea in this case to rotate it a little bit to align it a little bit better with the part. So let me see if I can align it a little bit better, something like this maybe, right? Okay. So now you see a little bit of this demo is moved into the part. And now you might say, well, if I slice, would it leave me a cut extrude? And the answer is yes, it does. Look here. Okay, if I turn off the support, you clearly see that it cut through the material. So if you want to do something like emboss or deboss in software without doing it in the CAD, the answer is yes, you can do it. You have to use what? You have to use this text shape. And if it gives you a text and you want to deboss it, you have to convert it into a negative object. Okay. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Now let me show you a few other things that might be useful for you. The next one is this option here, which is brim ears. So if your part has a base and the base is not necessarily extremely big, or you don't want to use brim all over the place, you can only put brim in specific locations, and those localized brims, we call them brim ears. So look here right now, if I go and add my external brim, look what happens. So the brim is going to be 5 millimeter all over the part. As you can see, all of this blue is what is brim all over the part. But again, if I don't want that much brim, then instead of outer brim only, I change it to what? To painted. And then look what I do. So I change it to painted, and then I select this and then say, hey, I want you to let me create brim ears. And now wherever I place this at the bottom of the part, you're going to have a brim ear. And if it's small or something, you can always You can always make it bigger, right? So feel free to change the size of it. And look now. So if I click, you see, now it adds one ear for me over there. And I can add a few more around the object. And that should be enough to keep the bottom layer from peeling off and separating from the bed. Okay, so most of the time this much is enough, and you do not necessarily need to put the brim all over the part. Okay, so now you have what? You have the brim ears. And if you slice it, look what you get. There we go, look. Now you only have what? Brim in these regions and not all around the part. So you can have a painted brim and you can have brim ears. That's the second tool that I wanted to show you. The next point I want to tell you is about these two tools, split to objects and split to parts. So here I have this object, and pay attention that if this second extrude is merged with the first one and you only have one solid object and export it as STL, these two tools are not going to work. Okay, so look here, I bring the one that I exported as one single solid object in SolidWorks, right? And as you can see, these tools are inactive because my STL file really is only one solid object. But here, if I make it a multi-body parts by removing this merge result, and now I have two solid bodies, and now I export it, although the geometry almost looks like the same, but it has two objects really. So look, this is the one that looks almost identical, but as you can see, now these two options are there. So again, although it looks one STL file, it really has two sections to it, two rigid parts that are converted to STL. Now I can use either one of these. Now what's the difference? Look here. If I use split into objects, look what happens. You see, it broke it down into these two cylinders, and then this cylinder here, the second one, dropped onto the bed. So basically what it is now considered a complete independent object from the bigger cylinder. These are two complete separate objects. And if I say arrange the basically build plate, look what happens. Now it separates them for me. And now I can, for instance, put this guy also upright, and then I can print them separately from each other, and then later maybe I can glue them together or do something about it. But this is really good when you have really two different objects that you brought in from a multi body part or from an assembly, and you want to print them separately and then put them back together. Okay, so this is good to split it in objects, and again, each one of them is a separate object. As you can see, each one of them can be moved, rotated separately, and you can also arrange the whole build plate by separating these objects. Okay, so each one of them is a separate object. Now on the other hand, look, if I bring this guy in and then instead of splitting into objects, I split it into parts. Look, I did. First of all, you see this one didn't drop to the bed. And you see now these two, although it has two components, but they are both like children of the original file. They are not two independent things like last time. They are children of this one. So now if I move this parent file, both of them will move with it. Okay? So I can move them together. Can I move each one separately? Yes, I can. But I can also move the whole set together as well, because these two are now children of that parent. Okay? And if in this case I say go ahead and do arrange objects, look, nothing happens. They do not get separated like we did with objects. So where would you use this scenario for? Now that you have two separate parts, not different objects, this is good when you want to, let's say, print multicolor. So you want this one, you right click here and say what? Change filament, and you make it black, right? So it's a multi color part, really, one big object that is multicolor, but each portion of it is a different color like that. Okay? Because if you brought it as a single object, then you had to go with that paint tool and try to paint all of the surfaces of the separate one. Okay, and if the shape is a little bit more complicated, it takes quite a bit some time to get it right, especially because the height tool will not work. So you have to use the fill tool and pick each and every one of the surfaces of that. In this case, this guy only has two surfaces, so that's easy. But if it was a complicated part, that would take some time. But this way, you break it into two pieces, and now for each one of them, you can right-click on it and change the filament of it. And you see the purge tower here. So breaking into part is good for one multicolor object where you want to keep the position of those components the same as the original CAD file. But the multi-object is really you break them into independent objects, and you can print each one of them separately. You can even, if you want, with the multi-object, you can even print them with different settings, right? So here, look, if I break them into different objects and then I separate them, and maybe, let's say, for instance, I go ahead and pick this one and put it on the bed, right? Then, for instance, here I can print this bigger part with 15% and two layers on the walls, two shells. But this one, I can make it with what? With maybe 4 shells and 50%, right? Or 6 shells and 50%. So I can have complete different print settings for them, if you like. And you can see that over here, probably very clean, right? 2 shells, 6 shells, 50%, 15%. The last tool I want to show you is this one here, Mesh Boolean, where you can perform Boolean operations of intersection, union, and difference or subtraction between STL files right here in the slicer without doing it in a CAD software. So let's say I bring in this part here, right? And I can bring another one and combine them or subtract them or get their intersection or anything. Or I can use this one alone and break it into parts. Now pay attention. I don't want to break it into objects. Why? Because when I break it into objects, the two parts will be fit to the table and will fall on the table. And now you cannot move one of them and place it where it should be. So in this case, I break it down into parts, right? And now you have two separate parts. And this part here, I'm going to basically, let me first put the, now if I put the whole thing on the bed, that is gonna, let's see here. So if I do that, and now I pick this one, and I can move it and I can rotate it. Let's rotate it about the Z axis, or in this case, actually the Y axis, but 90 degrees like that. And now let's see if the software allows me to move it. If I can move it, I'm good. Otherwise, I have to use another way. Now, yeah, it is allowing me. So look here, I bring it to a location and I want to use it to make a hole in the bigger object. So I bring them to some overlap position like that. Yeah. And I do not need to even make it a negative object or anything. All I need to do to be able to use this is to, since they are already under what? They are already under one parent, they are already assembled. So I don't need to do an assembly or merge process. I'll show you that next. But look here, right now they are already under an assembly, so I can perform the operation here and say I want to make a difference between them or subtraction. And it says subtract what? So I want to subtract from this guy what? This object. And then I say delete the inputs for me because I just want to get the result, and then give me the difference. And there we go. Look, here we go. You see, it subtracted the small cylinder from the big one, and I'm good to go. Now, if you break the object into basically the CAD file, the STL file into objects, look like this. The thing is, now there are two separate parts, but if you try to rotate this, it's okay. You can rotate it, right? So I want to rotate it about y-axis 90 degrees. But now if you try to put it on the top of this cylinder and have an overlap for a cut, it is not going to allow you. Look here. I try to move it off of the bed. It's not going to let me. I can move it along X and Y directions here, right? But once it comes to Z, the default of the objects is in this slicer software to snap to the bed. So you see, that is not going to let me do my job. So the solution here is to create an assembly. So here I select these two objects and then right click and then say what? Merge. Now that I merge them, they form an assembly again. They are like when I had them separated by the parts, they are under a parent now. Now, can I move one with respect to the other one within the assembly? Yes. So if I pick this one now, and I say I want to move it, look here, now no problem. You want to move it, go ahead and move it. It's not going to pick on you. And I'm going to bring this down into the other object. Just make sure it is in the right location. Right? So bring it down now. There we go. Yeah. So now I can again do what? I can again do the mesh Boolean. And again, I want difference, this part from which I want to cut this one, delete the input and give me the result. Just like that. Or if you want other shapes, you can always right click and say what? Add a primitive. And there are all sorts of primitive shapes that you can bring in and you can add them. So let's say I want to bring a cone. So here is a cone, right? And with this cone, can I move it? Look, you see, I cannot move it again up and down. So if I want to, I have to pick that assembly and this one and merge them together into a new bigger assembly. Now this cone, I should be able to move. So now I can bring it up here maybe and move it onto the part with some overlap or something. And let me rotate this for 180 degrees like that. And then I'm gonna move it. Look, something like this, a little bit off, and go down and make a cut for me into the part, something like that. Just maybe bring it off a little bit like this. And now I'm gonna do another what? Another mesh Boolean. Difference again, this one, subtract from it this primitive shape. And look here, I made a conic hole into the part. So hopefully you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.